This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you drive long haul, short haul, or heavy haul, they're here to empower and inspire women in the trades on tncradio.live. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
Welcome to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. We're a show that works to inspire and empower women in trucking, in the trades, and every profession. We tackle all kinds of topics and work to encourage women to be their very best with informative guests and women who've been champions. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Kathy.
No topic is taboo on our rig. We tackle the tough topics along with the not so tough topics. And we like to feature experts, champions, and celebrities who can assist women in being the best they can be. Human trafficking is a scourge on humanity. It's modern-day slavery that victimizes many women and girls by forcing them into things like prostitution. Escaping this dark world is difficult for those who are enslaved in it. Picking up the pieces and beginning a new life is often impossible. Jojan DollFace Harris is a human trafficking and domestic violence survivor who offers a safe haven and inspiration to women who've been trafficked. Jojan is a professional truck driver, trucking influencer, motivational speaker, advocate, and mentor. She helps survivors reclaim their lives and gain financial freedom in the trucking industry. Before graduating with a bachelor's degree at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas in 2017, Jojan was trafficked and forced to sell herself on the streets of Las Vegas. The trucking industry gave her the ability to flee her trafficker and achieve safety and financial freedom. Jojan works tirelessly to help human trafficking survivors. Her motto is promoting generational wealth and financial freedom despite adversity. She aspires to become an attorney and advocate for survivors of trafficking and domestic violence to continue her quest to empower people whose lives have been shattered. Jojan is nothing short of amazing. We have her on the show today. Welcome, Jojan. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
My goodness. Welcome, 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 welcome. You're getting the biggest hug if ever we meet. I don't know if you've ever been tackled by a hug, but you're getting one.
There you go. Yes.
I'll hug you back. I love hugs.
Oh, Jojan, I want to thank you for what you're doing. You are providing so much hope and light to so many who can only see endless darkness.
Yes.
Oh my
I
God.
tried to, I've been there. I've been in that darkness, and I came to the light. I found the light. I ran to the light, all the light, right? So I want to pay it forward and help others.
That's so wonderful. Before we talk about what you're actually doing, I wanted to see if you could share some statistics on the extent of human trafficking, as well as maybe give us a background on what happened to you, so our listeners can really hear exactly how dark, perverse, and widespread human trafficking truly is.
Well, as far as statistics, I can find that for you. I've been looking for some solid statistics, but a lot of it talks about the people who have been arrested for human trafficking, and I haven't really found solid information about survivors. But what was your question again? The second part?
Well, basically, the extent of human trafficking, what exactly happens? I'm not sure everyone knows. What exactly is human trafficking? What are people forced into doing? How young are they? Who does this impact?
Human trafficking can impact everyone. It can impact men, women, children. It doesn't matter who you are, it can still impact you, because they look for, traffickers look for vulnerabilities. They look for people who don't have a lot of money, low economic status, people who have problems with their parents or families, people who have been in domestic violence, people who have been in domestic violence relationships and abuse and things like that. So it can happen to anyone, and it's sad to say that they just prey on the vulnerable.
Right.
It disproportionately affects women, though. Most likely it's going to be mostly women, and human trafficking is not always sex trafficking. It can also be labor trafficking, when you're forced to work and you're not getting paid anything or not a lot of money.
Mhm.
labor traffic victims are coerced. That's a big thing with human trafficking in general, coercion, if you're being coerced to do something. And with respects to labor trafficking, if it's not sex exploitation, they're being abused in a variety of labor settings like farms, factories, domestic work in homes, things like that. So that's why it's really important for me to help survivors, because I don't always see the sexual part, but I'm a truck driver, right? I go to different labor, or not labor, but different factories and um, labor settings, farms. I just went to a farm the other day to deliver some stuff. So it can affect a lot across the board, and it can it can be anywhere. It can be sex or labor.
You were saying that they recruit kids, even in elementary school?
Yeah, so in Las Vegas, that's why I moved from Las Vegas, because my my children were in school. My daughter got around some people who weren't good for her, and I recognized all the signs, and I'm like, nope, no, 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 no. They go to women and girls. They account for about 71% of trafficking victims globally, and the majority who are trafficked for sexual exploitation, 77% of them are women, and 72% of them are girls. And they'll go to the schools, like the guys will have their brothers or their sons or whoever in that same school. I got it. He has a son and he goes to this elementary school, and make friends with the girl, make friends with the parents, make friends with the sister, invite them over, and they groom you. They groom the girl. So by the time she's has her guard down and trust in this family, that's when they snap like a viper.
So, what, did they abduct these girls?
I don't know personally exactly what they do, but some women, girls have been abducted. There are cases where girls have been abducted. Truckers Against Trafficking just spoke about a 9-year-old that got abducted from her family. It happens so much that you never know, because sometimes these girls, they think that this is their, like, for example, me growing up, my mom used to have me, my mom was a prostitute as well.
Okay.
She did it. She didn't have she wasn't being human trafficked. She just did it because she wanted to, or I guess, I don't know. But the guys that she would bring around, the tricks, she want me to call them uncle such and such. And so if they were traffickers, right, then I've gotten comfortable with them to where I think they're a part of my family. So it's not like they're kidnapping me and just taking me away. I would be willing to get in the car and go with them because my mom says it's okay.
Right.
So that's, with these little girls, you have to be so careful, because they're not just snatching them up, right, just out out the blue anymore. They're grooming them and making them feel comfortable and making sure that, you know, they earn their trust, and then that's when they're able to make the move. Maybe we're going to the store, let's go get some ice cream, and never come back.
Right.
Take them
Yeah.
over the border somewhere.
So, Jojan, what's your story? You said your mom was a prostitute. How did you become trafficked?
Well, I grew up in that environment. So my mom was a prostitute. My brother was a pimp. He did not pimp my mom, but he was a pimp. And this is my first time telling this story out loud in public. So I grew up, around a lot of tricks, or what people call Johns.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't new to me. That environment wasn't new to me. There was a lot of drugs, sex, and gang activity going on. But my brother used to always tell me, to watch out for guys. Um, he basically treated me like I was one of the guys. So I learned a lot from him, but he was a pimp. So I learned a lot of wrong things from him. And earlier, like later on in life, probably about, I think I was about 22 years old. Me and my son's father broke up, and I needed some money. And I knew strippers and I knew prostitutes and things like that, but I didn't want to do the whole prostitution thing. So I went to my stripper friend and I'm like, I need a job. I need to make some money because we were broke up. The rent is due. What can I do? I want to dance. And she was like, I'll get you in contact with this guy. And he ended up being a pimp. I didn't. So I was so naive to that part. I thought pimps only dealt with prostitutes. I didn't know that they dealt with strippers and everybody. I didn't know what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
So I met him, and I'm like, my brother's a pimp. I know about this stuff. This is what I'm telling him. But I'm like, I know about this stuff, and you're not gonna pimp me and blah blah blah. He was like, oh no, I would never pimp you, and you know, if I can get you a job at the bank. I can get you a job here, there. And I'm like, well, I don't have a diploma, so I don't think I can get. I haven't graduated high school. I don't think I can get a job at the bank or whatever. And so he was like, all right, well, he acted like he was my boyfriend. And he had a friend who was a pimp that I didn't know that he was a pimp. And his girlfriend, well, the friend's hoe, we would call it, um, she had a photo shoot in California. And he was like, you want to go ride with us to California? And I'm like, sure, let's go. And so I have my friend babysit my children for the weekend, and we go to California, and we get there, and the photo shoot is for her, but it's also for me too. And he tells me that I got to go in there and put on these clothes and put on this makeup and do this photo shoot. And when I get in, there's a whole bunch of other prostitutes in there too. And I know what this is. I know what's happening now at this point. And I start bawling, crying. And he wasn't allowed in there, but the girl, the photographer, she was like, I know this is hard for you. You need to get in, do what you got to do, and get out. Don't make these tears be for nothing. And I'll never forget that. She was like, you have to deal with it now. Like you need to suck it up and deal with it. And that was the harshest, most realist thing that I've ever heard, because I need sympathy, right? I need somebody to sympathize with me, not tell me I need to suck it up. But she was right. Suck it up and deal with it, because this is real as it gets right now. So my first client actually raped me, or I call it rape because I didn't want it to happen, and it was rough and hard and it hurt, and I actually got pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And then during the course of, the first 6 to 8 weeks, probably 2 months, 3 months, I got in a car accident. And when I got in a car accident, I was bleeding. So I thought I was losing the baby. And I told the ambulance that I have a pimp and he's going to find me. And they were able to get me to safety. So I was able to escape him. But then, like probably 2 years later, I ended up in the same situation with a whole different guy. I was working at a job and I met a guy who worked there too, and he was a pimp. And see, that's what I was talking about, the grooming thing, right? And he was grooming me to prostitute me, but the difference between him and the other one was the other one didn't know. The first one, he didn't know how to be a pimp. He didn't know how to do what he was doing. He would have had a stronger stronghold on me. This guy, the new guy, he was abusive, and that's where the domestic violence comes in. And there's so many times I thought I would lose my life with this guy. And he had a stronghold on me. I couldn't escape him. And the only way I was able to escape him was to lie about, where I'm going or what I'm doing. But he used to follow me. I was in college at this time. So he would follow me to class, follow me to school. We had a women's center on campus, and that women's center is for domestic violence and rape and stuff like that, like survivors and victims. This is a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't allowed in there, but I couldn't stay in there forever, right? So they helped me come up with a plan to escape. And we talked about maybe, driving trucks, because my ex was the truck driver. And I'm like, that might be a good idea, but I'm in school, so I can't really just do that now. So when I graduated, I thought about the plan that we came up with, and the plan was, well, not before I graduated. Before I graduated, I would say we would have field trips that I have to go to that he can't go because he's not in college. He's not a student. And during those field trips, I would go to Workforce Solutions, and I would go there and try to get, assistance on getting my CDL permit. And then when I graduated, I did Lyft and Uber for a while, and my permit expired. So I didn't know it expired. So then I had to go back. But again, here he is wanting to ride with me, picking up, passengers and stuff. So one night, I was able to go and, not night, but day, one day I was able to go and to the Workforce Solutions and did it all in one day. I told him what I needed to do, what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to go, everything. and they told me, well, you have to have an intent to hire letter. And the lady at Night Transportation, Emily Wismierski, she was the recruiter. She gave me an attempt to hire letter that same day. I took it to Workforce Solutions, and I'm supposed to be driving. He's at home waiting for me. Supposed to be driving. Took it to Workforce Solutions. They were like, okay, we'll give you the money to get your permit. I had been studying, listening to ebooks, the CDL manual while I was driving passengers. And even if he's in the car, he can't hear what's on my phone. So he doesn't know I'm studying for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, drive and listen to it, and I would take the little practice test. Like there was an app that I used to use, and I would take the practice test. And when I figured out that I was pretty much ready to take this test, I think one day he had to go to court or something, and I went to the DMV. I dropped him off to DMV. I went to court. I took the test. I passed. I told Emily I passed. She's like, okay, we can get you to Phoenix. And one day I just left. I just left, and I went to Phoenix, and that was my saving grace. I went to Phoenix for training for CDL school.
That's
And that's how I was
awesome.
able to escape him.
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
We're talking to Jojan Harris, a human trafficking survivor who escaped her trafficker by getting a job as a commercial driver. She's now on a mission to help other survivors. Jojan, your story is just incredible. It took some serious courage to get away from your captor. You went through a lot. You had to have been really afraid.
But still, I was afraid for so long that he would find me. And I was like, if I just keep moving, he can't find me.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I had a whole lifetime of domestic violence, grew up in an extremely violent home. My safe house was the dog house because no one would think to look for me in there.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah, right? And actually, I was looking for love, and the dog gave me the love I needed. I started having conversations with God in the doghouse. That was my first spiritual moments, I guess. But furthering on in life, the partners that I chose, because I come from sexual abuse and just lots of rapes and violence, the men that I chose were extremely violent. And the one, he was an enforcer for the Hells Angels, and which I don't talk about in my book or anywhere really. I think this is the first time I really say it online on air. But I understand what you're saying, because I was under constant threat of human trafficking. And a girl I know, she owed money to one of his friends, and they put her in a hotel room for a month until her debt, I guess you could say, whatever they thought she owed was paid off. And they put her boyfriend in the next room to listen to her being beaten and raped, all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awful. And this is a girl I knew. Like, it never happened to me, that part, but I mean, I've been raped, gang raped, beaten and strangled 3 times, and just in 2007, I call it the Great Escape because I was able, because it's like you're planning it, right? Like, how do I get out of here? I had a bodyguard, another enforcer that had come up from Vancouver, Canada. I was in Timbuktu, Yukon, which is by Alaska. And I'm nursing, and I'm going to work every day, trying to figure out how the bodyguard would follow me to work and make sure I was there. He'd show up on my breaks, and being under constant threat of being buried. And I lived with a shovel on my porch, and the few times that I did escape, he would find me. He was a sniper in the military, and he had these excessive training
Oh
courses
man,
from Denmark.
I have nightmares about that. I'm
Oh
sorry
my
to cut you
God.
off,
And
but I have nightmares about that.
I do. It's horrible, because when I would escape, he would, it would be like, all in my mind, how the hell did he find me? Like the one time I went to a friend's house, and nobody possibly could know this person, right? And he shows up 3 days later while I'm trying to, plan my next course of action, because your head is so overwhelmed, right? And you're in fear, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, and trying to put one foot in front of the other is hard enough. Anyway, he shows up at the door uh 3 days later, and I almost recognized the knock, right? And I ran upstairs, and my friend answers, and that he took a Polaroid picture of my friend Gord,
Mm.
and started to laugh, and he says, if you don't give her to me, this is the last smiling face you'll ever see, right? And he's kind of waving the Polaroid shot, and he listed off that my friends, families, his wife, his kids, the schools they attended, their jobs. And he says, I'm going to hunt down your family. And he says, I'm going to hurt each and every one if you don't give her to me. Well, like
Mm.
this guy
Wow.
is like, oh, and I just came down the stairs. I said, you know what, Gord, thank you for trying to help me, and I'll just go, right? And it was so hard. Like, how do you get away from that? And I but like you have that constant plan. Okay, well, I got to try and do this. I'm going to try and do this. What's going to work next, right? Because
Right.
my daughter was 10 at the time, and I mean, she's all I got. And if I disappear, well, then what, right? So I'm always planning. I'm a fighter, and I'm like, okay, no, I got to do this. And it's not easy for anybody that's been in that this type of situation. I know a lot of people judge, and they say, well, you can just leave. No,
No, you
it's not like
can't.
that.
You know,
Right.
when the first time I tried to leave, he was actually in the process of beating me, and we were in a car driving down the strip, and I jumped out the car and ran into a casino, which happened to be a casino that I got kicked out of. And they arrested me because I was 86 from this casino. I have a record still to this day. I can't even
Hmm.
get jobs that I want. Like I'm trying to
Hmm.
work in the criminal justice system. I have a misdemeanor B for trespassing because of this guy was I was fleeing him. I was fleeing away
Hmm.
from him from being beat. And as far as leaving, I left my children. You know how hard it was to just
Oh
leave my
Oh,
yeah.
kids?
wow.
Like
Yep.
Yeah.
I
people
did.
ask you, why don't you just leave? Well, you when you
Yeah.
when you move, what do you do when you move, right? You have to plan. You got to find out where you're
Yeah.
gonna go, how you're gonna pay
Uh-huh.
for it, what's gonna happen with the kids, getting them schools and stuff changed. You
It's
can't do that in a situation like this. You just have to go when the
and to
opportunity presents
control your
itself.
money. He had my
Yeah.
bank card. I mean, he would take my, oh my God. Yeah. Jeez.
He
And I
took
don't
my
think
car.
a
I
lot
couldn't
of
go
people
anywhere.
realize the kind of control.
It's horrible. It's
And
horrible.
it's not always a physical control either, it's mental.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, they
Oh
they
yeah.
make you feel like nobody wants you or nobody loves you. They're the only person that's going to take care of you, and they're the only person that can take care of you. Nobody else is
Yeah.
capable.
The
Yeah.
Especially
brainwash,
if
right?
they make you make a lot of money out there and you see this money coming in. Now you're what he did with me is I'm high maintenance. So who else is going to be able to maintain your lifestyle? Well,
Hmm.
I mean, I I feel like I was stronger than that, but thinking in hindsight, I was brainwashed. I didn't even know I was a
Yeah.
victim until until UNLV told me I was a victim. Like people I
Hmm.
would talk to, police officers and anybody that professionals that would help me after the fact, they're like, "You're a victim of human trafficking." I'm like, no, I'm
Hmm.
not. Yes, you are, because I lived it. It was my reality. People always ask, how did you deal with it? How did you cope? And I'm like, that was my reality. That was my normal. This right here, normal stuff like truck driver, going home and seeing my children and eating at the dinner table and watching movies. That wasn't normal for me. What was normal for me was getting beat and being around sex trafficking and being around domestic. My brother, I saw my brother. I don't think I should say that, but I saw stuff with him. I saw my mom
Hmm.
get beat by men, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
This was my normal.
So this was your reality. You didn't know, and you thought that you were wise, but you were able to be duped into doing all of this. I mean, it
Yeah.
shows how insidious all of this truly is.
Oh,
And how do people help? What exactly are you doing, and how can people help survivors of human trafficking or help them get out of these situations? Because it's so dire.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm trying to get women who have been in human trafficking, who are victims or survivors of human trafficking, assistance by getting them in the trucking industry. Because I didn't have to pay for my permit, I didn't have to pay for my CDL, and I got on the truck. I didn't have to worry about rent or bills because I have my home on the truck. You know, I have a sleeper,
Mhm.
and I have a sleeper is basically the back part of the truck where you have the bed. It's a bunk bed. You have two beds. You can get a refrigerator, a microwave, a TV.
Mhm.
You have an inverter that powers everything, and you
Mhm.
basically have a little small apartment on wheels. So my goal is to, you know, I understand that it's hard to leave. I understand it's hard to escape. But if you can get to a safe place, you can get in contact with me. We can get you in contact with the recruiter. We can get you set up for your CDL permit and then get you into the truck. And then you start driving and you're always on the move. And you don't have to worry about money or dependency because you have your own money. If you get government benefits, you can get a government phone. You know, they call it the Obama phone. Free minutes, and every month they reload free money. So you have a phone, you have a home, you have money, and you have safety. And you're away from these drivers. And I'm sorry, you're away from this your abuser. And
Mhm.
that's the goal that I'm trying to help with. I'm trying to help get women to safety and create, I want to help them reintegrate into society and create generational wealth and financial freedom like me. I was able to, the company I'm currently at, I was able to, in 9 months, they had a recruiting program that you can recruit drivers and you mentor them and stuff like that. But that's what helped with the money that I made. But in 9 months, with everything said, I was able to make over $100,000, and I was able to build my credit, invest in stocks and bonds and things like that. I was able to um, open a savings account, buy a home, and I have it listed to where my abuser can't find me. I'm in somewhere by a lake, and it's beautiful. And I was able to do this all from trucking. Now, I wouldn't say that you'll be a recruiter like me, but um, truck drivers, I currently make 60 cents per mile. It's not a lot, but when I first started, I was only making 43 cents per mile. And you know, just think about, like, that was more money from a regular job than I've ever
Mhm.
had at a regular job. Most regular jobs, you get paid about 800 every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
This I was
Yeah.
getting paid like 800 every week. That's a lot. It's not a lot compared to what you're used to making in the streets, but for a legit legal job
Yeah.
to be self-sustaining and you don't have a lot of bills to pay, that's pretty good money.
And to have security and feel safe,
Yeah.
Yes.
and have a future, because when you're held captive in those situations, you have no future. It's so uh, what it does to people, and it breaks their whole soul in so many ways, doesn't it?
It does. I when I got out of it, when I first got on the truck, I had to sit here and think about everything. And I wanted to drive this truck off a cliff. I was
Mm.
like, I got away from him, but I don't have anything. I have nothing. I have no one. I don't have family, right? My family was in the industry. Who do I
Mm,
have?
right.
And you just feel helpless and hopeless and lost. And I wanted to drive this truck off of a cliff. I don't know what saved me. I think being on the truck itself saved me.
Mhm.
Being able to
Yeah.
sit here and know that I'm safe and drive and see things I've never seen before, and sit and think and process,
Mhm.
cry, whatever I needed to do, I was safe to do it here on this truck. Nobody would bother me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's saving grace, you know what I mean? Healing takes so much time, and a lot of it is like I took 2 years off of life, and I went to a women's treatment center where it was faith-based. It was a Christian place where you live with 25 other women, women that have been trafficked and just whatever addiction. Like I had lost my nursing career due to alcoholism and ended up there. And even though I had all the therapy and the daily talking about boundaries, I had to ask, what's boundaries? What does that even mean? I was
Mm-hmm.
40. I was 40 and didn't
Yep.
know that I could say no, you know?
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it was really hard for me to flip that switch in my thinking, because I was so brainwashed since childhood to flip that around and stand on my own 2 feet, even though I'm a nurse. I mean, I'm educated, and I have a great job and all that. I had a great future, but internally I was such a mess, like, oh my God. So learning to stand on my own 2 feet. And when I started, like like you, like I didn't go back to nursing. I needed a career. Well, how do I do that? And so I ended up going to a career planning workshop to find out what I wanted to be when I grew up at 43. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it turned out to be heavy equipment operating, which I thought was the most ridiculous career at 43. I'm like, come on, right? I said, at 43, I'm a woman. I don't even like equipment. I'm not mechanically inclined. And honestly, I thought it was a man's job. And
Mm-hmm.
the woman puts a hand on her hip, puts her glasses at the tip of her nose, looks over at me and says, if only you believe in yourself a little bit, missy. You'd see the
Right.
difference, right? And she put on this video. It's possible, from YouTube, from Les Brown, that motivational speaker. And I started listening to his words, that, well, I'm a driver. I'm a good driver. And I was thinking I could drive your truck, the 18 wheelers. I'm like, I could drive
Mm-hmm.
that. I could go from Canada to the States, because, like you, my ex was a truck driver, so I would travel with him. And yeah, yes, I would get beaten that truck too. But anyway, so I'm thinking, well, okay, he did that, and he taught me a few things. I could drive, I could do that. But when I went to, she sent me to this nonprofit in Canada. It's called Women Building Futures, that gets women into the trades. I realized I got picked by ExxonMobil to take a 12-week heavy equipment course. And every piece of equipment that I got on, I'm like, oh my God, like I was in an excavator loading a truck. And I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and, and that night, that realization, that light bulb, was recognizing, like that night I was walking home when my iTunes, the song came on, Redeemed. It's a Christian song, and it's talking about breaking free the chains that we imprison ourselves with, from our
Yeah.
pasts, and
Mm-hmm.
letting that ghost leave it behind, and you're redeemed. And it was the most empowering thing to recognize how brainwashed I had been, and that I can do this and I don't need them. And that, look at me go, I'm getting on all these pieces of equipment, and I'm doing really
Mm-hmm.
good,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And the hardest part was just learning to self-talk, tell myself that I'm qualified, I'm smart, I got this, I'm strong enough, I don't need them.
Yeah.
And even getting on the biggest truck in the world, when I got here, the first month I was here, I mean, the truck that I drive, I don't know if you've seen it. It's the size of a house. The tires are 14 feet high. The box is, to get up to the cab, it's 2.5 stories, right? Like, it's 3,800 square feet. Like, I drive a house. And I remember one time that I was driving, and I had all these, I don't know if you get this, the post-traumatic flashes,
Oh man.
visions that would just randomly, just as I'm driving, just hit me. And I can't see the
Mm.
road, I'm hyperventilating it, like I can't breathe. And I'm seeing the most humiliating, the most god awful moments of my life instead of the road.
Yeah.
Mm.
And this one time when this happened, I'm crying, I can't breathe. So I just slowed down. I'm going through this intersection, at the intersection on top of it, right? And what I did is I reclaimed my life in that moment. I rolled down the window, and I took all that negativity, all that pain, all the past, and I threw it out the window. And I said out loud, I screamed out loud, my past does not define who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
in that,
Amen.
Right.
right?
I was just about to
Yep.
say amen to that too.
Yep.
You
And
read
but
my
Yep.
mind.
at the same time, like I had this throbbing pain in my heart area, all that negativity. It's like a hole that I got rid of. Well, you got to replace the negative with something positive, something empowering,
Yeah.
right? So what I did, which was just instinctively, as I'm going through this intersection, there's all these people, and these trucks are so big, right? The people are looking at the truck, not at me. But I did the queen wave.
Hmm.
I'm going through, and I acknowledge my own self, and I'm waving. I'm like, yeah, this is Kathy Takaro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me, man.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm blowing kisses, and it's like I was at a parade. But what that did, and is, I reclaimed my power, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all those jackasses that were hurt me and stepped on me and beat me and did all this stuff, who's driving this truck? Right?
Right.
That's
I am,
right. Yeah.
not them.
Right.
I am. So what the whole point of what I'm trying to say is that you have to self-talk. You have to help
Yes.
yourself in those moments of self-doubt, insecurity, and those haunting images that will always come back and tell you you're not good enough. Oh, yeah, you are. Right? You have to
Right.
flip that switch. You have to believe in yourself. You have to set your goals. You have to keep fighting through those moments of when you're shaking in your boots. Keep moving,
Mm-hmm.
That's
right?
right.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, is building a positive image of trucking by telling the story of the hardworking drivers and industry professionals who support the industry. And you can be a part of it. Learn more about TMAF and how you can join and be a part of the industry movement working to build a strong image of trucking by visiting TMAF's website at truckingmovesamerica.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our latest channel, TikTok.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
We're talking to Jojan Harris, who broke free of her captor after being trafficked for years on the streets of Las Vegas by getting a job as a commercial driver. We've been discussing what it takes to gain that type of inner courage that it takes and to believe in ourselves. It really does take a lot, but it can be done. And sometimes it takes a little bit of an outside influence that's positive, because we can't do it alone.
I don't know who anyone prays to, but I just know I believe in God, right?
Oh, me too.
And
Yeah.
If I didn't have God,
I
I wouldn't be
remember
here.
I remember after Hurricane Katrina, there was a meme on social media that says something like, God, when he's trying to get your attention, he'll throw a pebble at your head. And if you don't pay attention, then he'll throw a rock at your head. And if you don't pay attention, he's going to throw a boulder at you and it's going to knock you down to your knees. It's going to make you pay attention. And you have no choice but to submit to him, which goes along the lines of what my pastor used to say. You can't do it by yourself. You can't do anything in this life
No.
by yourself. You have to have God as a part of that. And for the longest time, I had lost that vision, right? So
Yeah.
my power, I got knocked down to my knees and my power was gone. And I was like, okay, God, you have it. You have my undivided attention. What do you need from me? What can I do? What I can't go through this no more, because that
Yeah.
that being that victim, I don't even like saying victim. I like saying survivor, because I'm alive.
Right.
I survived it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But being that victim before I got this reawakening was like, my relationships, everything that I did after getting out still affected me. And I didn't realize that it did. I would get into these terrible relationships and I was a terrible mom and I was a terrible influence. And I'm just like, I was cancer. And I'm like, what? You have my attention now. What do I need to do? And that's what brought me to this, like driving trucks and helping women. Like I actually like this truck is like my knight in shining armor, and it's my armor. I think about all the time what my exit strategy is if something bad was to happen, right? But I feel so safe in this truck. But then there's so many things out here that's not for women in trucking, right? We have Bluetooth headsets, and these headsets, they're just black and the regular. And I'm thinking, like, what can I do to make myself feel comfortable and happy? What makes me happy? Art always made me happy. Art always, helped me. It was like a therapy for me. So I bedazzled a headset, and I'm thinking, well, this is pretty. This would be cute for, girls and women. And then I'm like, well, then this can be good for the women coming into the industry, the trucking industry, and they can feel empowered in their knight in shining armor with their crystal blingy headset driving down the road looking cute.
Yeah.
Right. And it gave me that, power. But being a victim, like I totally just couldn't.
You and I got to talk like after this. I just did that. I'm starting designer minor because there's very few women in the industry here, and I just blinged out my hard hat, my safety glasses.
I don't know if you could see the video. I just turned it on, but
Oh
this is the headsets that I have
yeah.
on. I blinged this out
Yeah.
myself.
Oh, it's very
Oh
cool.
my God.
Let's see.
Very
There we
Okay.
go.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
so gonna talk after this on a private way.
Okay.
And you want the proceeds, or how were you going to? You wanted women to be able to have that. You were hoping to do a partnership of some sort, and this can help some of the survivors of human trafficking. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I don't know how it's going to happen, but what I'm planning on doing is blinging the headsets out and selling them. So if I could get like a partnership with Blue Parrot or Blue Tiger or even Rand McNally, they have headsets, and I can get these headsets for free. I could bling them out and then sell them to people who, like other women truck drivers, and those proceeds will go to help me save survivors and bring them into the trucking industry. Maybe if it's something like they need a license, they need their driver's license. They, you know, a lot of these women don't have a birth certificate, driver's license. They lost it. He took it. So, you know,
Right.
that costs money. So those proceeds will go to helping them with that. Or, you know, when I first started, I needed a hard hat. I needed closed toe shoes, steel toe shoes, and a vest, a safety vest. So there's things that you need to get started in the trucking industry that the proceeds of the sales of these headsets can go to help these women. So they don't have to worry about anything. Like your first load or two, you're gonna have to drive some miles and get fuel so you can have shower credits at the truck stop. Well, if you don't have any shower credits, how are you gonna pay for it? Then you just you know the money, the help. It'll be like a
Sure.
fund to
Yeah.
help these survivors.
I love this.
hmm
So you have about what, 8,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 4,000 on Facebook, 6,000 on TikTok. There are ways people can watch you and get your message, but where can people reach out? I know that there are going to be people who are saying, how can we help? Because what you're doing, Jojan, is so important. You're freeing people. You're giving them a
Yes.
future.
Yes. Well, dollfacetrucker@gmail.com would be the easiest email to reach me at. My phone number, if I can give it out on here,
Sure.
I take phone calls, is 936-900-4732. I'm in the process of designing a website, jojan.org. That's JOJON.org. And I'm looking for help from everywhere, right? It goes down to judges when they have the diversion programs for these women. Instead of putting them in jail, diverting them to an employment, some type of employment, which hopefully they'll reach out to me. Other mentors, I need mentors as well, right? Truck driving schools, trucking companies, Blue Parrot, Blue Tiger, headset companies, any and everybody who's in the trucking industry, logistics industry that can just help partner with me so we can help save these women, because I can't do it by myself. And this right now is just the concept, right? I know that I want to have a nonprofit. And I know I'm going to need a board of directors. And, you know, I really believe that if we all just get together, this can help us fight human trafficking.
It really
you know,
can.
like I said, it's not always sex trafficking, it's labor trafficking. And, you know, even like on the farms, be conscious of where you buy your food from. Because, you know, there's some women out in these fields or men out in these fields that are picking fruit and vegetables, and they're being forced to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I just, anybody and everybody who's willing to listen and partner, even the news station, you can help by giving me an interview so I can let you guys know what I'm trying to do and how you guys can help, right? So just any and everybody right now, because I can't do it by myself.
It takes a village to do
Takes a
this.
village.
Yes. And what you're doing is going to help so many people. And women can go into the trucking industry. They don't necessarily have to be drivers. They can go into something else. There are a lot
Like
of
the
opportunities
trades,
there.
right?
Yeah. You know, and this could expand. I could see this in many, many different industries, helping people out of slavery, because that's what it is.
Yes.
You know, and this is so unacceptable that this goes on in the 21st century, and people are turning a blind eye.
Yes.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Kathy DeCaro is nothing short of amazing. She not only drives the world's biggest truck as a heavy equipment operator in northern Alberta, Canada, She's an international motivational speaker and the author of Dream Big, an autobiography about overcoming a lifetime of trauma and abuse that led to dreams of success. Kathy inspires people the world over to change their lives and improve their self-worth. Her book will change your life. She's passionate about personal growth and believes anyone can change their circumstances and overcome their obstacles if they believe in themselves. Her life will amaze you and seriously inspire you. Be sure to order a copy of her book, Dream Big, on Amazon.com. Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry, our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
Kathy and I are talking to Joshan Harris. She's a commercial driver who's on a mission to help survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking get jobs in trucking. She's dedicated to end this terrible scourge. You know, there's so many people who can resonate with what you're doing, Joshan.
Have you ever heard of Operation Underground Railway?
No.
It's with he's a SEAL, a Navy SEAL guy, and sorry, I'm drawing a blank there. Tim, oh God, what's his name? Anyway, he does. It's all about he rescues. He was a SEAL in the force in the CIA, and he went down to South America, and he's all
I
about.
think he has a Netflix. I think he has a Netflix or Hulu
movie.
documentary.
Yeah, that's coming out. And oh my God, I follow him, and I'm a volunteer for all his stuff, and it's just it's yeah. We're gonna talk.
You want to
after
know
this.
what?
Yeah.
And what I also want to happen is once a survivor gets into the trucking industry and they learn about the industry and they're safe and they're good and they're happy, then they have to pay it forward and they have to help other survivors.
Yeah.
So I created the name for it is going to be called the Survivors Empowerment and Education Network. Seen, or even just see a brighter future would be the slogan. And basically you just have to pay it forward. Like, this would be our little imprint. We can't save everybody, but maybe we can get like pilot car drivers, right? If you're a pilot, if you do pilot car, you're following behind the big old trucks that says oversized load. You can use your own vehicle. You don't have to have a CDL for that. And then you can teach your kids how to do it. So then you have that generational wealth. And then what if, there's some women that don't want to get on the road and drive? Well, we can get you in another program to help you, get money and be safe or whatever, but then we can create like a daycare organization for these women, just for victims of survivors of human trafficking, domestic violence, where these children, because you don't want to harm the children, children of victims with healthy children until they've learned how to process and cope through what they've seen being a child of a survivor. So I have so many plans for this, man.
I just love what you're doing. And this is where people joining forces with you can make this all happen. And I think I see tremendous potential. You're going to help so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Where do people contact you again, Joshan, in case they didn't have a pencil handy or weren't totally listening?
If you just search DollFace Trucker on all platforms, social media, so Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, DollFace Trucker. My email is dollfacetrucker@gmail.com. My website is jojon, JOJON.org. And my phone number is 936-900-4732. Now, if you are on any one of those platforms, you should see a QR code. That QR code is the key, the gate to open up all of the communication to me, because it has everything that I'm affiliated with on there. You just scan it, you put in your name, your number, your email, then I have your contact information, and you will have all of my contact information, including all the social media kits, pictures, everything. Anything that you need from me, you have it right there on that QR code.
This is terrific. Keep us up to date on what you're doing, Zhoushan.
Definitely.
Oh, awesome.
This is so
Awesome.
important, Zhoushan, what you're doing, because I really see the human trafficking has gotten worse. And
Yeah.
It is. It's horrible.
I had some stats for you. Okay, so it says by the numbers, human trafficking in 2021,
mhm.
there was 10,583 human trafficking cases reported, 13,594 calls from victims and survivors. The 3 states with the highest cases reported are California, Texas, and Florida, which makes
Okay.
sense because they're border states.
Yep.
And if you know anyone who is a victim or a survivor or needs help or anything with human trafficking, the hotline, the top way the hotline was found, the National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. In Rhode Island, prostitution is legal.
Oh my
And
God.
in Nevada, unincorporated portions of Nevada, prostitution is legal.
I didn't know Rhode Island had prostitution legal. That's interesting. Huh.
It says, so I'm going to read you this graphic. It's number of incidents, and we are going to talk about illicit activities all the way to escort services. So illicit activities is 122, and that's on the low end. The high end is escort services, 1,116 number of incidents. And then in between that's pornography, the illicit massage, health and beauty, residential-based commercial sex, personal sexual servitude, outdoor solicitation, domestic works, emerging types, I don't know what that is, bars, strip clubs, and cantinas. So if you just listen to that, those are all of your industries where sex trafficking can occur.
Yep.
And they're usually between the ages of 15 and 17 years old,
Ugh.
of detected victims.
Yeah. Just babies.
So be careful and, watch your kids, look for the signs of, monitor the social media of your kids. I call them babies. They're all babies to me. So monitor the social monitor their social media and who they're talking to, who they're friends with. Monitor what they're watching on TV, because you might not know it, but like think about it. If they're watching something that it has nothing to do with sex trafficking, but it might be something like Family Guy. I hate Family Guy, but they have things on there that gives these ideas to these kids, and then they have this ideology of what they think should happen or would happen or want to happen, and then they meet people that meet that ideology, and it's kind of like a gateway leading them into the industry.
Sure. Social media has been a huge gateway. Very scary too.
Yes.
Mhm.
They prey on, oh God, they prey on girls on there too, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's scary to be a parent today.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, with people like you, Zhoushan, the statistics will change. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for your courage in doing all of this. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on our show. Oh, you've been.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Zhoushan.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at info@tncradio.live.
Thank you for listening to another great interview on tncradio.live. And don't forget, be sure to subscribe to our podcast of Women Road Warriors. It's free. All of the material you hear on tncradio.live on our website, our broadcasts, or our podcasts are copyrighted. There can be no distribution without the express consent of tncradio.live and its partners. For inquiries, write us at info@tncradio.live.